Do you ever feel like you have to work way harder than Etalus, only to get hit once and suddenly lose the stock? A lot of that feeling actually comes from how you approach advantage and edge guarding, taking unnecessary risks instead of playing for high probability situations, which often leads to getting reversed. In this video, I'm coaching a Zetterburn player from the Discord who can benefit a lot from slowing the matchup down and not overcomplicating decisions. We'll look at examples that are both Etalus specific and broadly applicable. So even if you don't play this exact matchup, you can still take ideas away from it. Let's start with some core principles I like to follow against Etalus before we go more in depth. Okay, hello. This is my first proper coaching video. So first of all, thanks to BGD from the Discord for sending this replay. I really appreciate it. So we're going to start the matchup game plan here. So I'll give you some important things versus Etalus that I like to consider myself. Etalus has dash attack, right? And this is like his main tool. This is like what defines the character, and has significant burst range and is jump cancelable. Off hit, he can like kill you from it, right? And it changes with the ice. When he has ice, he has an even bigger burst range that you need to keep in mind. Of course, he can like feint it and whatever with his wave dash. So I think this is like the biggest move you should be considering in neutral, like looking out for. You really want to look out for how a specific Etalus likes to use it, because they all use it differently, but they will use it at some point. So it's really important to see if they overuse it and the types of mix-ups they play from it. Something that I like to do against it, which I'll show you. Yeah, so that's what I like to do against it. I like to call it out. The parry, like even against very good Etaluses, I get the parries. You just have to like show it quite like often, make them respect throwing it out in neutral a lot more. So I'd recommend that a lot. And I think that the other thing that I like to keep in mind that is really specific to this replay is how off stage works and how commitment works versus this character. Because the whole thing is, off stage, he kills you for free, and it doesn't really work the same way the other way around. You kind of have to work for it a little bit. So what I noticed in this replay a lot, off stage, you were sort of committing a little too hard, I would say, and not edge guarding from the ledge. And I think the whole thing about this character is deciding when is a good time to commit versus when you need to rinse repeat. So what I'd consider rinse repeat is shine from ledge, playing from ledge in general, doing back air, and basically you usually do that at low percent when he's recovering in this sort of general area rather than from down here, because the difference is when he's down here, he's in a gimpable position and the risk reward favors you a lot more in that scenario rather than trying to go for a hard commitment here, because you're very unlikely to kill him, right? And I'll try and demonstrate that when I look at the edge guards in this game, but the general idea is low percent, and in this area, use your shine, use fair, cover options. Sometimes you'll have to hack stash to stall, or you can just do an easy version of it after you've used your invul, go back on and just do that. Sometimes you'll have to do that. Sometimes you use dare. Sometimes you'll go on stage. You'll punish him like that. But yeah, the entire idea is to avoid unnecessary risks. This is so you can convert as hard off stage as he does against you. You really want to play for like stuff that's high probability, so don't go off stage for something that's like a 50% chance, because it's just not worth it when you can be reversaled and die. My general idea is that if there's an 8% chance of it paying off in a stock, then I'll go for it. So in the situation when he's really low doing this up B, there's not much he can do, right? If he's not got a lot of resources, he's either gonna fully charge up B and then like wall jump or something. The only other thing you'll do is maybe air dodge through whatever you throw out. But yeah, you can see how like this is more of like a 50-50 here between the air dodge and has higher success rate, rather than if he was like here, he's got more options. So let's talk about win conditions as well. The one thing I noticed from this replay is not taking stage control or using it properly. A lot of the time you had Etalus in the corner, but you would maybe be jumping unnecessarily or not prioritizing that this is your stage now, and you would maybe jump over you like this for free, or you would play the ledge and get a reversal. So that's what I saw happening a lot. And the other sort of win condition, especially against a heavy that can kill you off of a few interactions, you need to take the guaranteed punishes. Don't overcomplicate things is my biggest suggestion. You'd get like an up air, and instead of like taking the free damage, you'd maybe do something a bit crazy, which is usually unnecessary, usually against this type of character. Like I have Etalus set to air dodge there. You can see that that's just like a guaranteed combo. Why overcomplicate things when you can get up to 80% for free? because once Etalus is at high percent, that means that in the edgeguard situations I talked about, you can kill him from here. You don't have to go down here to kill him anymore. Definitely take the guaranteed punishes. Don't overcomplicate stuff. So I think that was the main sort of points I wanted to go over before we actually looked at the replay. So I'll just switch things over. So the first sort of topic we're going to talk about is with neutral and stage control, and also a bit of risk management. So this first clip. Yeah, so we've got Etalus off stage. The problem here is that you jump and up air, and what you give up here is stage control and also the edge guard, which is a big problem. But I think what I'd want you to do instead here is, so Etalus was here, right? And you have the stage and you do this up air. Think about the risk versus the reward in choosing this option. A weak up air like this at low percent, you're really not going to get very much from that, to be honest. And the risk that you're putting yourself at is extremely high. You could be reversoed and put off stage and die for it. That's kind of like the most important thing in this matchup, is refusing to put yourself off stage. That's why you want to hold the stage here. And he doesn't have many options. He's going to jump out. Etalus without movement options, he's basically just got a dash attack in front of him and he can jump. So that's why you just control this with fair and you choose when to go in. I think the next thing I want to talk about in general is playing a little too fast at these lower percents, doing like a little too much, where being simple would actually help you more. So here you get an up air, and pretty much what you want to do here is hit him with like 2 billion more up airs at least. Instead you go for something a little complicated that wouldn't have paid off even if it hit. And I think that's the sort of scenarios you want to think about. You want to change your mindset here to just take the guaranteed percent, especially being a stock down like this. So there I definitely would have done about 6 up airs and just called it a day. Here's another situation where you sort of overcomplicate things a little bit. So he's knocked down, he does special get up, and he's on fire, and you're on go die delta, which has very small ceiling. So what's your win condition here? Your win condition is to kill Etalus off the top of the stage with up smash, but you do a moonwalk shine. You see what I mean? This is the absolute free kill, and all you have to do is do the simple option. You just have to press up on the C stick, right? And I'm only pointing this out because it's a recurring pattern, and those are the things that always come up in your games. And if you fix it, you'll be fixing like so many different situations where this like makes it harder for you. I'll show you a couple more examples. So this was just like too much, especially at the edge of the stage here where he's going to be able to slide off or something. Here you should be like, oh, I've hit shine, it's time to up air, grab, up smash, do like at least 60%. Instead you got about 4% and you're not even in neutral anymore, and he's running at you with a dash attack. If you recontextualize or reframe these situations to be like, instead of overcomplicating it and getting a little bit of percent, you could have potentially killed him here. That's the way you need to think about it. Like, there's no reason to do this. And I think there's one more example of this, and I think it's the thing that a lot of Zert burns do, is because they have shine, they think they need to do a lot, but the whole point of having a shine and being able to pressure with it is to get a grab or an up smash, or, you know, start your punish. It's not to like make it difficult for them. Like here, as soon as you get the shine, you can do any of those things. You've won neutral, you've won the game. Take what you've been given, you know, take the guaranteed punish, because instead you go into shield pressure when you've already got the hit. So I'd say at low percent, just try to like think less is more, look for shine grab, shine dare, simple stuff, and try to reframe it as like, there's no reason to gamble, right? But something else I noticed you doing a lot, charge shining like this, in neutral quite a lot, as like an opener, which can work, but it depends on how you use it, because I think in general you were jumping a lot, which can be a problem in general, not even just against Etalus. I think that the way that you need to use it, if you want to use it as an opener, you're maybe getting the charge shine off, but afterwards you do this and maybe jump back in, or just jump, which doesn't really cover anything. Usually what people try to do after the charge shine and you wave that shout is they try to hit you with something, which is why you should press another button afterwards. Press another button, or shield maybe, charge shine, and then do another one but be reversed, or basically don't jump afterwards or put yourself in a position that makes things worse. The second thing about it is I wouldn't really use it as an opener too much, or in general, because it's sort of like a thing that you need to do once they respect you more. Sometimes you make them respect you by doing charge shine, and what I mean by respect is you'll start shielding, but what a lot of people do is instead of shielding, they'll just attack. Like, you just get hit out of the charge shine, because that's how you beat it. You just stop it before it comes out. Obviously this isn't the best example, but you get what I mean. So how do you build respect? Then in neutral, do this, you do fair, you hit them, you do dare, and then when they're in a situation where they think you're going to dare, they're going to start shielding, right? So instead of doing the dare, you come in with the charge shine. What usually happens is you hit their shield and you continue the pressure. Even get a grab. Or what they do is they try to do something out of shield. And then you punish them for it. So that's kind of the thing with charge shine. We'll look at a few of your clips with that, just so you can see what I mean. I think those are useful general pointers. Yeah, so this is an example of what I mean. So you use charge shine as an opener here when the respect hasn't been established yet, and you also wave dash out and jump away like I mentioned, which gets caught by an air. If instead you did what I suggested, I put in a hitbox for shielding, Etalus would actually be in a bad spot here. So that's why you don't jump here or do like a defensive option usually. Sometimes jump can be fine, but it really depends on how the opponent's playing, and I would advise against it in general. So here you try a charge shine again, just coming up here. In theory this is a decent charge shine, but he whiff punishes you with dash attack, and I think this sort of demonstrates the problem that I was talking about. When the respect isn't established, they're just going to hit you out of it. Although this can work if you do it from higher up, so you need to like space the charge shine or start it early enough, like maybe a bit higher than this, so that it comes out as you land rather than giving him the time to hit you. And I think this sort of leads into my next topic about over jumping in general. Yeah, so you jump twice here and he catches you out with an air. Depending on the punish game of the player, they can kill you from that sort of stuff. Like, you don't really want to be jumping in neutral like this without really covering yourself. Zer has an enormous air hitbox that you could be using to land with, but it seems like you don't have an intention here with it, sort of like expending your resources without any sort of value, which I wouldn't recommend. Like, the air isn't really a safe spot for Zer because he's a fast faller. So I think if you're going to jump in general, you should have some intent behind it. Like if you're going to come down with a dare or you're baiting something, you might want to wave land back onto the platform, for example. But there's a reason, like in traditional fighters, jumping is heavily discouraged because of anti-airs, and it's a similar thing in platform fighters. It's just not as clear cut, because when you get hit by an anti-air in a traditional fighter, you're straight into the punish. With platform fighters, there aren't as clear anti-air buttons, and they don't instantly lead into a punish because of defensive mechanics, but it's still a very similar concept that you should definitely keep in mind. I think another big thing was how you're responding to crouch cancel. Generally off of Etalus down tilt, you would seem to down tilt yourself, which isn't really the option like here, and then you down tilt, which is fine, but doesn't really lead to anything, right? Because you run in with a shine, but you just get down tilted in response, right? So what you really should do instead is, as soon as you recognize you get the floor hug on this, you instantly run and shine, run and grab, or up smash. Those are like your best options there, because you still end lag here if you do it quick enough, instead of doing down tilt, because it doesn't get you anything. It actually gets you reversaled. The other thing I wanted to talk about was just some of your move choices and adjusting those depending on the situation. So in particular, you were landing with fair quite a lot in some situations, like here, when you really should be landing with down air, because as you can see, he just floor hugs it and it grabs you. But with down air, obviously you can't do that, and down air is a really good button to press against Etalus in general, because he's really big. Other thing here is about respecting bear, because bear is actually -2, so it's really safe. You tried to grab it of it, so that's just a general thing against Etalus. When he's spaced bear at any sort of range, it's not good to chase. It's basically his turn, more or less. You can make a read and you can overshoot and try and hit him, but he has a lot of the agency in that situation, I would say. The other thing we need to talk about too is parrying icicles, which is something I only seen you do maybe the third game in or so. It's actually completely essential to this matchup. It should be second nature to parry icicles. Big reason for this is the audio cue. Parrying things based on audio rather than visual is actually easier. But yeah, you see my point. Etalus should pretty much never get away with using this in neutral, and it's sort of part of the edge guard flowchart as well, because sometimes he'll do it like up here when he's recovering, and at that point it's kind of a mix-up. You shouldn't really get away with it. Sometimes you're going for the parry, sometimes you're trying to hit him. That's sort of the mix-up there usually, but we'll talk about that a bit more once we get to Edgeguarding, because there was a few recoveries he did with Icicles that you didn't contest optimally, I would say. And this matchup completely changes if he's getting away with Icicles for free in neutral, because it just makes him like overpowered pretty much if it's not being dealt with. Because he covers the stage with ice and he also wins neutral, so make him respect your parries. Okay, so this is sort of a separate point about your punish game that does sort of connect to the point I made before about keeping things simple, but we'll just look at the clip here. So it's about this up smash, which you don't really get too much off of, and what you should do instead. So you do it up throw, right? This is an undershine, this is a top left angle shine, which isn't as good, but I'll show you what you should do instead. You see how I get the same shine as you, but I get up air off of it. Yeah, you see I get the top left angle and then I get a strong up air. Strong up air is like the thing you want against heavies. Like I mentioned before, because you can up air them to death pretty much. Right? So that's what I would suggest instead of going for up smash, because I'll show you what happens. So when you do up smash and it's DIY, even if I do a frame perfect fireball, it's still a mix up because he's still in tumble here, so you can jump out. One thing about that is how it's a mix up. What I mean by that is instead of doing that short hop fireball I just did, you can do full hop like this. He's not meant to take the platform here, just pretend that didn't happen. See how this fireball is higher than the last one I did? That would cover the other option of him jumping out, and the lower fireball would cover everything else. So that's sort of the mix up from there if he does DI out on up smash, but I would recommend just doing the up air. Okay, so now we're going to talk about probably the most important thing I want you to take away from this video is Edgeguarding Etalus, and we're going to run through a couple of clips here where you kind of struggle to edgeguard him. This was all pretty much fine up until this point, but it's this point where things go wrong, and the reason for that is how you deal with Icicles, which is this point. Because the edgeguarding situation, Etalus is right up in the air, and what you decided to do was run off and charge shine. What you should have done is recognized that he was really high up and realized that it was not the time for this. You need to sort of like separate when you're edgeguarding Etalus, like him into different spots, like up in the air. He could come down with the side B like this, and what I'd recommend you do here instead is refresh the ledge until he gets to a closer range to the stage where you can hit him, because you can contest him with invincibility from the ledge, right? Okay, so here's another edgeguard situation. The things you want to consider here is Etalus's percent and where he is on the stage. So he's super high percent and he's below the stage pretty far, like all the way down here. So we kind of talked about this before, but he's very vulnerable in this situation, but he's also high percent. So the risk of going down for a shine is probably not worth the reward if you can just kill him with like any move. So at this point, I'd probably suggest a rinse repeat edgeguard rather than go down for the shine, even though it's quote unquote guaranteed. It's not worth the risk since you do go down for something here that isn't very high probability and you do get reversaled. And that's just what happens in this matchup if you don't select your opportunities well enough and consider risk reward a lot. It's very important in this matchup because you could have just like tapped him with almost any move and he would have died. Okay, so here's another situation. So let's do the same thing. Whereas Etalus, he's really far off stage, so far that you can't get to him in time, right? And he's starting up B. So where's he gonna go? He's gonna go all the way up, and then he's probably gonna come down with Icicles, right? So he uses up B now, so this is your chance to do something. So the thing is, he's got some mix-ups out of his up B, like turnaround bear is very common. And it's hard to deal with because it's quick and has a lot of range. But if I was to choose any option, it wouldn't be charge shine here, because when he's in this sort of area, you still need to make use of the invincibility from ledge. Use that to your advantage. You can fight him without risking anything pretty much because you're invulnerable. And then when you see him in a bad spot, that's when you can commit if you want. Remember, he's at high percent here, so you don't need to risk too much. But this is incredibly risky and would probably not kill him anyway. So here, I would definitely prefer if you grab the ledge first to assess the situation before commit to the edgeguard. I also want to talk about one of your edgeguards where I do actually approve of the idea, you just executed wrong. So it's here where you mess up. So everything up until this point is fine. And now we assess the situation again. Etalus, 66%, way below the stage, which equals gimpable position. So that's where the risk reward would probably be okay because you're killing him at pretty low percent. But the problem is, you don't go far down enough and you do cover yourself with there. So that was just an execution error, but a good decision. So the only thing is you just need to go down a bit further with your shine. You need to like commit, and it can be difficult because you can't really see with the magnifying glass. It's sort of like a intuition thing. Just gotta get a feel for it, but I do approve of this. So one thing I want to emphasize in my coaching is that when you critique your own replays, not everything needs to be like a negative. You can also focus on the positive things you did, like here, do like a really sick combo. Now I'll explain how that works as well, like why it worked. So you do down throw, dash attack. Dash attack at the ledge here is interesting with Zetter because you can buffer baby dash into shine and you get a lot of momentum. I don't think you do that here, but a similar idea. But even regardless of the baby dash, you still get in a good position to shine. And what happens here is you get the top left angle, which puts it at a perfect position to get fair. So yeah, that was really sick. So if I had to summarize what we talked about and then give you some things to work on. I would probably start with thinking about stage control, especially in this matchup, because when Etalus or any character doesn't have stage control, they have less options, and I think you don't prioritize that enough. It ends up leading you to being reversoed and put yourself in positions that you don't have to be in. So I would probably focus on just holding the stage, just think about that a bit more and consciously choose to do that. The second thing is simplifying the punish game, which is pretty straightforward after we've talked about it. So just look for the up airs and try to notice that you don't need to do too much. Third thing is just jumping a lot. Whenever you do jump, try to do it with an intention behind it, covering yourself with down air instead of fair two. Another thing is improving your CC against down tilt. We talked about that a bit. Doing different options instead of down tilt, doing dash attack, up smash, shine, things like that. Then in terms of edgeguarding, just get comfortable in the ledge versus Etalus, knowing when it's a rinse repeat, know what part off stage he's on, and then just deciding what's the best risk reward here. And the last thing is just like parrying Icicles. Just like if you start implementing that in, you get away with much more neutral, and you'll start punishing Etalus for it too. So I hope this coaching session was useful. This was my first one in quite a long time. I used to coach melee back in the day, so I'm maybe a little bit rusty at stuff like this, but I hope it helps BGD and also other people watching. Just let me know if you like this sort of thing, and I'm happy to post it more. But yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.